All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Serious Angler podcast. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, I'm your host, Bailey Eggbrecht, and joined with me is the captain, Mr. Andy Full. And down below, we have the man from Colorado, Mr. Adam Deacon. What's going on, boys?
Not much, man. Excited to be here. Favorite night of the week.
Yeah, I love these fantasy fishing shows. They are a riot. And I love how everybody always sends in questions and commentates and gets us on random tangents and then we have prizes to give away, which is even sweeter. So it's an overall good time.
It feels like it's been a few weeks. I don't know why it feels so long, but I feel like it's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. Either way, I just got thrown for a loop here. Like my other window, apparently. So I have the weather forecast up, and I heard as I'm doing the introduction, I hear those random freaking news ads that pop up and they play a sound and it takes you forever to figure out where the heck it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. It distracted the hell out of me. But boys, it is good to be back, and it's good to see people already in the chat. And it does not look like, sorry, Mr. Dick Duckett, it does not look like Bart will be joining us tonight. You guys should be hazing him in his comments or in his DMs on social media.
What is going on?
This is 3 shows in a row. So we're going to have to give Bart some hell here. But what is up, everybody? We got a bunch of people joining in here in the comments. Appreciate you guys. Good to see y'all coming back because it is fantasy fishing. It is our Lake Chickamauga preview show. We're hyped for it. And before we do, as always, boys, we got to talk about Santee Cooper a little bit, some fireworks. What are some takeaways from Santee? Granted, it's been 2 weeks, but still, what do you guys have to say after another 2 century belts were given out?
Incredible.
Drew Cook finally getting it done.
Man, it was so cool to see him win to wire. And oh man, he's just such a competitive guy. And some of the interviews and stuff after the tournament, I just thought he did a great job and just is I don't know. I just thought it was fantastic to watch it. And man, I sure love watching Elite Series guys chase fish on the bed.
You know what was awesome was watching. So Luke Pomp, who was it before Luke that we had on the show that had a really, really good tournament? So we have Luke on, and he is 6th at the Classic, and then drops a 32-pound bag on the scales in Santee. I think this is just I think it was Gussie that we had on that right after Gussie was on our show, wins Tennessee River. I think we're just trying to tell these boys they got to get on the show, and then right after they'll have some tournament success.
Yeah. Bart asked you to email him the link real quick, Bailey.
Oh maybe. Boy, what? Surprise appearance.
I think Dick Duckett's going to get a little more Bart today.
That's funny.
I don't know, Andy. I hear Emmy trying to join the show in here with us tonight.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Good. Oh, gosh. But, dude, I think what would have been insane to watch? I mean, obviously, Drew Cook had big bags every single day. I think his smallest was, 20? I think it was 24 flat, I think. But I think if they had 2 days where it was a little bit warmer the day leading up to the tournament, it would have been all out utter insanity because I think a lot of guys picked up on the whole site deal going in throughout the tournament versus day one seemed pretty slow for a lot of guys, especially Kufal, dude. I mean, he had 16 pounds one day and almost came around to the win.
That's what's cool about a spawn derby, I think, too, is you can roll up on them. Drew Cook, once he found the first one on the bed, he said it was going to be, that's all he was going to focus on. I mean, he had this 6 and 7 pounder, his first 2 fish. They were the first ones that he had those marked in practice. But the rest of guys, say you didn't find that, you can roll up on a stretch and it's all females and they're there that day, on the 3rd day of the tournament or wherever it may be. So I think that's always a really cool aspect of those spawn deals. And then one other surprise that I had was that I thought about was that Drew was around a lot of guys where he was catching those spawners. I really expected that to fade out. As so many times that we see in these Elite Series events, guys cannibalizing each other in those same areas. I was impressed that he was able to get it done and there be other guys kind of around him in that same area. Like they're beating on those fish.
Yeah. And he's coming into the stream now, long overdue for his attendance. If his camera even shows up, doesn't look like he's fully logged in yet. But we have Bart joining us, hopefully, fingers crossed. But we have down in the comments too, Jim Wood, that says Schlopper impressed him. I thought he was completely left field. I don't think anyone had Schlopper doing well in that event. I'm pretty sure he was probably like a 1 or 2%er.
Yeah.
But I think we'll do is start rolling through our Santee Cooper lineups, figuring out our points here, updating our score, maybe some picks that did really good for us, and maybe some picks that either threw us for a loop.
We got to check scores on Chick, don't we? Or on Santee Cooper.
We do.
Yeah.
We do indeed. And look at his face here. Long awaited on the Serious Angler podcast. It's
not
it's
time
weird.
for us anymore.
Yeah, it's weird to see your face, Bart.
Yeah, hey, I am back. Can you hear me okay? I'm going to turn my camera off because, like, I am commuting, but I figured I could at least tune in audibly. I want to, like, give a State of the Union. I'm sorry for my absence and all that.
Yeah. Whatever you say, Bart.
I like this.
I kind of like this part. You don't have to see Bart's face anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
less Bart.
I am shamed right now. I think I'm in last in fantasy. I am doing terrible. I had a good Santee Cooper event, which I think we'll get into, but I don't think it really matters because I got my brains beat in the first couple.
I think you'll be positively surprised after we go through this results to see where you're lied in the standings here, Bart.
Okay, sounds good. Well, like I said, I am driving, so there is a chance I like tune out and stuff, but I will try to come back.
Bart, we have somebody asking in the comments. They thought, well, not asking, but apparently people thought you were in jail.
Care to comment on the State of the Union?
Yeah,
What did you do, Bart?
I didn't do anything. I actually have some big news that I'm gonna make. I'll make a post and announcement tonight. I've been like crazy busy the last couple weeks for good reason. But yeah, I'll be making a post tonight, kind of telling everybody what it's all about. But I haven't been around like anywhere. And I actually did just kind of lay at my house and watch March Madness too. I had a great 2 weeks not doing anything.
So what you're saying is tonight is your coming out party?
Oh,
yeah. Yep. Coming right out.
I'm just messing. It's good to have you back, buddy. Let's
Thank you.
let's
for the record, someone's gonna clip that. I am straight. I like girls.
For the record.
Not that it would be an issue.
We don't care. We are all inclusive here at Serious Angler Podcast.
We would love you all the same, Bart.
We are seriously inclusive.
We are
I know Dick is
inclusive.
just waiting for me to slip up. I just can't give him a chance.
We know Dick Duckett was waiting for it.
I know.
All right.
That's right after I said it. I was like, oh, no.
All right. So, boys, I think let's start going around the room here. Andy, if you want to kick us off, maybe some picks that did well for you, some that did not, and then where you ended up points-wise for Santee Cooper.
Corey Johnston, top 5. He's been hot to start the year. Great. Iaconelli bombed. I'm never picking Iaconelli again. That was a tournament I thought that he may have a chance if they were pre-spawn, and it seems like they all just kind of went to spawn and disappeared, and then
we're going to clip that and post it as social tagging Ike.
Go ahead. Done picking him.
Go ahead.
I think he would be like, yeah, I've had a couple bad tournaments. I don't disagree with him at this point. But that's about it. I know I came in last in points, and I had 1056, which I think last year there were a couple tournaments at 1056 would have won. So, yeah, gotta pick up my game and get everybody in that top 50 cut this next tournament. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't know, with the way some Deacon's been picking these guys, you got to get them all in the top 30 to keep up with Deacon here.
Apparently. Whew.
Yeah, but I will go next year and say that I just barely scraped by Andrew here. I had 2 guys in the top 10. I had Brandon Cobb, who I'm most proud of because he was 6th place and his percentage owned was 1.83%, which cool. I am shocked that it was that low. And then obviously had John Cox in there placing 7th. And what really burned me was Chris Johnston and Justin Atkins, who I knew Atkins was going out on a limb for, but I knew he could be good in a spawn derb. But Atkins was in 18th place and after day 1, but wound out in 63rd. So I ended up with 1,075 points. So just barely making it past Andy. So Bart, if you want to go next for us, or do you need me to read off your deal here? We got some interesting comments.
Can you reread me my team? Can you reread me my team, please? I don't want to pull it up while I'm driving.
Yes, your team.
Let's not have a live car crash, please.
Yeah, we don't need that. Bart, I have high praise for your pick on Luke Palmer, who was in 4th place, who dropped, I think he had the biggest bag of the tournament, did he not? 33 pounds, 5 ounces. And then you had John Cox, who was in 7th place.
I didn't get to talk about it, but I picked Luke Palmer because he was so hot. Like, he was so hot, and he's been fishing so good. Yeah, it was and shallow water, you know? Like, that's a shallow water Junkin derby, and I just felt like he was going to do good.
Makes sense. Kind of fit that Oklahoma mold. And then you had Patrick Walters in 19th. Hunter Shryock, who I think was actually a really good pick, too, in 31st. And then what kind of bit you a little bit, and I think really bit you, was Caleb Summerall in 72nd. And you wound up with 1,178 points. So really good tournament for you, Bart.
Yeah.
I think we're losing connection on Bart here in a second. But Deacon, do you want to? I think we're losing Bart.
All right. Yeah. I'm still making my picks for tonight, so I'm like, multitasking. But anyways, so my picks were a little bit gut picks and also some research, as I kind of always do. But this year I'm going a lot more gut picks, and it seemed to be working out. I had Cox, like a bunch of us. He obviously had a great tournament. I don't think anyone expected him to not have a great tournament. After the first day, I was like, he's still in the top 20. Like, get ready. He'll top 10 it. Here we go.
One day of practice.
Yeah. Just crazy, right? And then same kind of deal, man. I've been running guys who have been hot and keeping that momentum. Brian New is just deadly. Anywhere in South Carolina, anywhere that region, he's just fishing well. That was my bucket B pick. He finished 12th. My lowest pick and this was the one I was like questioning of all things, was Chris Johnston. He finished 52nd. Still not a terrible, like, you just can't have guys bomb, right? Like, still a 50th place finish, especially if you've got a bunch of other guys in the top 10 kind of region. You're in good shape, especially those like low top 10s. My bucket D was Palmer. Again, the same concept as Bart, man. He's fishing so dang good right now. And I'm just I think I've honestly picked Palmer in the last 3 derbies, at least the last 2. And he's finished 4th. So that was awesome to see. And then my bucket E pick was Kyle Welcher, man, finished 34th. Got to be happy with that. And my total points on Chick was
Santee Cooper.
Sorry, Santee Cooper. 1,229. So good
coming
one.
in hot.
Good one.
Yeah, good job.
Well, bravo, Deacon. Bravo. Is that your 3rd win this year?
I think so. We might be in a row. If not, maybe in a row, but we're close.
You're gonna be. So here's what I'm curious about. So you're beating me by 5 points right now, which for our golf scoring is a considerable amount. And I'm still at 93% for fantasy fishing. What are you at right now?
98.
Whew. All right. Good luck, everybody, trying to catch Deacon for the rest of the year.
I will tell you where I'm at. I suck.
I am going to pull up Omnia Fishing and just send you your bait for the year, Deacon.
There we go.
Yeah, what do you want?
Like,
let's throw it out there. What do you want?
Oh, man.
Throwing it in. Like, where's the white towel?
All right.
Don't give up.
So,
come on.
I'm not.
We have the updated scoring after Santee Cooper. For folks that are new to this episode, of the 4 of us, we're doing a small little private group that's for fun. Winner's going to get some baits, and then loser's going to have to do something pretty funny, which we'll disclose towards the end of the season.
It looks like I'm dead last. So I can't
Andy,
wait.
get ready, buddy. But what we're doing is golf scoring amongst the 4 of us. And we're echoing on Bart's truck here, so we're gonna mute Bart. So
Less Bart.
in last place right now with 14 points is Mr. Andy Full. Give him a round of applause.
No, people.
Can't win them all, buds. Can't win them all.
Can't win any, actually. But...
yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
I'm just kidding.
So serious around here. Jeez.
Right. In third place with 11 points, Mr. Adam Bartuzik, who will not give a round of applause because
come on, we gotta give him showed up, kind of.
Well, he won like everything last year, so it's nice to see him just barely ahead of me. All right.
Yeah. Which, by the way, did we lose Bart? I don't. Oh, he's in the stream here.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's still around. Bart, are you still alive?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear now. Maybe not anymore. All right, we'll keep you muted until you're ready to talk. All right, we're kicking Bart from the street.
Poor Bart.
All right, and then in second place is myself with 10 points, so only one off of Bart. I need to quit these last 2 weeks of third place finishes. And then in first with a whopping 5 points, have an amazing start.
Quite the lead. Wow.
With 3 wins and a second place finish, Mr. Adam Deacon. There we go, buddy. All right. Colorado coming in hot.
How is the weather out there? Is it hot yet?
No, we're getting there. I think this weekend's going to be warm, and our at least our local lake here, Horsetooth, real close to me, opens up, and the smallies snap there early, so it should be fun this weekend. Get out a little bit, and then I'm headed to Texoma to go fish as a co-angler. So excited to go fish that in the Toyota.
What event is that?
It's a Toyota series, and I got to be down in Lubbock, Texas for work early next week, and so I was like, I don't really want to haul the boat down and not have practice. And they might be on the bed there. So I figured let's jump in as a co, especially after Lake of the Ozarks not doing well. It's like, where can I still learn and fish something else? So I think that's what I'm going to do on Texoma.
Heck yeah, dude. We're looking forward to seeing how you do on that one. We have an interesting question in here, which I'm confused by this right now. So they're saying, what's the craziness with some of the pros standing on their graphs, like on their bow? I've seen some people like talking about this and raving about it recently because of Santee, but I feel like this is not new. I feel like they've been doing this for a long time.
It tends to be the shorter anglers who do it too. Like, I'm just saying, because it's hard to see them sometimes. The tall guys have an advantage. Like, I don't think you'll ever see KVD. I don't think you'll ever see KVD standing on a Kong mount with like a 12-inch toss Helix or Solix, right? Like, it's the short guys that don't weigh very much. They're the ones that are up there just so they're able to see a little bit. And if I wish they would all put out like their hidden clips, because I'm sure all of them fall at some point during the Derby.
Matt Aries was
fantastic.
You could feel that in his video.
Yeah, he wasn't even standing on. He just fell trying to
you're
get
standing
around
in.
them.
Yeah, you're standing in front of it, and like with like that, dude, I would freak me. I'd rather stand on my graphs than stand in front of it on the trolling motor. That's just a disaster waiting to happen. It's like Kyle Welcher falling in. Did you guys see that clip of him standing in front of his graphs and took a slip?
Yeah, scary stuff, man. Be that like whenever you're on the front of your boat like that, you've got no room for error when you set the hook on a fish. Yeah,
no. So I don't think that's it's not a new thing. So I don't know why people are freaking out about that. But yeah, so moving on from Santee Cooper, let's start talking prediction wise for Lake Chickamauga. next week, first week of April, and some insider information. I went and got some information from our good buddy, Mr. Caleb Bell, who lives down in Lake Chickamauga. And because I got insider information, I will share with the group. I will be fair. Water temperatures are around 60 degrees for majority of the river. He said some of it is hovering, the high 50s. Obviously, some backs of the creeks you can find a little bit to that low 60s, which I think will be intriguing. We were talking about this offline. Do we think spawners are going to show up? Do we think they're not? I think that's one that's going to be intriguing to see next week, and I'm sure there's going to be some. I just don't know how hard it's going to play. I'm sure if your name's John Cox, you'll find him.
Or Buddy Gross, who's another one that always seems to battle him there.
I think if Buddy's going to have a bite, my money would be on Buddy having a really good pre-spawn area versus trying to find spawners.
He really excels in the post there, but we'll get into that in Bucket A.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So looking really quick at the weather for the folks that are tuning in and folks that are listening after the fact. Wednesday of next week, so before day one, we have a high of 75 degrees. So that is really good to get the temperatures up, get things rolling, and get things probably brewing to where fish might want to get up and do the nasty. And on Thursday, it is cloudy, mid 60s, 41 degrees overnight. So a 10 degree differential from the previous night. Friday goes as a high of mid 50s, dropping into the 30s overnight. With Saturday saying just about the same, couple temperature, degree difference, and Sunday going up to 70 degrees and being mostly sunny. So Sunday,
these fish are going to be miserable. They're not going to know what they want to do.
Granted, it is Tennessee, and it is literally about a week out. Well, it is a week out from day one. So obviously things can change, but looking out, which is why I think this whole setup that we're doing a week out is intriguing, because we're making predictions a week ahead of time and not like the night before. So it definitely adds a level of stakes of drama for the four of us. So we're like, damn, wish we could change your picks type of deal.
Yeah.
But what are you guys thinking is going to go down? What's going to be the heavy pattern here?
It could be a spinnerbait, chatterbait type tournament, especially if there's any rain in the area. You could see some current, and that could really get them firing on that. I think there was a Tennessee River, a DT8 or a DT6 or 10 might play as well. That just off the spawning areas where they're staged. If somebody finds that, it's going to be fun.
I'm thinking we're going to see more Kyle Welcher in a mag draft again.
Yeah, that very well could be. Or Carl Jacobson in a glide bait. Or BP in a glide bait.
Man, yeah. I mean, Chick's got him. There's no doubt with that. And I don't know if they'll be fully on the bed. I do think some fish will be spawning even without the moon phase. I think that there always is, some stragglers on any situation when it comes to a spawn. But
so wait, are you saying stragglers? You think they're done spawning right now? I don't think they even started.
I think they're just getting.
I'm saying early, just like your couple, because you can't on these fisheries too, and it's so much different every time I've experienced going south than our fisheries here in Colorado, and I don't know how it kind of works up there, but there are so many fish in some of those lakes that the spawn goes on for a month. On Grand, dude, they're spawners forever. It's just each wave with that kind of moon phase, but you kind of have some random situations that don't make sense water temperature wise and all that kind of a thing. But I mean, I think it'll be a shallow deal, and I think it'll be, those fish have been 60-degree water. They're sitting there getting ready.
Yeah. I think it'll be a secondary point back of pockets deal. I think people have a couple different things going.
Reaction baits covering water, man.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we talked about it as offline of do we think that Friday where it's a high, 30s overnight, high of mid 50s is going to play hard. But, thinking more on that, I think they might just be so hard in that pre-spawn that it's not going to be as big of a deal. But that's also me in my New York mindset where weather doesn't really affect our fish this time of year. Whereas in Tennessee, they are as temperamental as hell, being that there's 1,400 boats down there every single day of the week. So who knows?
That's a factor too, and I haven't really thought about it with my picks, but with how pressured that fishery is, I don't know if you've seen what Jacob Wheeler can do with like sneaky holes there, but as far as like, I mean, some finesse guys and thinking about guys who can just catch them, you know, because those fish do get beat up there. Like there's a lot of people fishing for them all the time.
Yeah. Some of the amount of tournaments like size, like boat wise, is insane to me. Like, cause it's for folks who've never been on Chickamauga. Like I went down my first time ever fishing Chickamauga. Was like, this place is going to be massive. I can go explore so much different stuff. When even in a kayak, just in a couple of days, like it's really not that big of a body of water. It's really not. Mm-hmm. And especially in terms of places that could really play in the pre-spawn, there's really not too much water for these guys to cover.
So you're talking bumper boats is what we're talking, possibilities.
I mean,
talking the bump.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be very intriguing to see.
I think it would be more bumper boats if it was post spawn, but because it's pre, I think you'll have guys spread out decently.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out because obviously the last time the elites were at Chickamauga, you know, it was October and guys that got 5 fish were getting checks. Where I think this will be, I'm not going to say they're going to blast them, but I think they're not going to have a problem getting a limit.
You're probably going to need like 15 a day to make the cut or 16 a day to make the cut and like 20 a day to be in the top 8.
It'll be very intriguing. It's you know, one thing I haven't checked is, well, I think one factor to lay out while I have it here is that it's only going to be a quarter moon starting or on Friday next week is when it says first quarter is April 9th. So meaning there's not going to be much moon action. So I don't think it'll be crazy spawn deal, but to Deacon's point, I also agree that it doesn't, you know, the moon is not the lone factor in determining if they're going to spawn or not. But also I don't know. I haven't looked yet to see how much water they're going to push. I haven't looked to see what that's going to be like to see if that would generate any, because obviously that's a big factor in this pre-spawn deal, I think, for guys that have stuff towards the main river. Mm-hmm. Because not all fish are going to run back to the very backs of these creeks to go do the nasty. Like they're going to have some small stuff here and there. And obviously I think for a pre-spawn deal, I mean, I could be wrong in saying that current is crucial for pre-spawn on the TVA, but I would assume that current is going to be important for that pattern if someone has it, or at least help it. But I'm gonna go in line with kind of what Andy said, like chatterbait, spinnerbait. I'm gonna say you're gonna see a mag draft playing a good amount, like an 8-inch, not just your 6, like an 8.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Then you're like your junk fisherman, that sort of deal. I'm sure a trap will play too.
Jerkbait, somebody forward facing jerkbaits.
I could even see a topwater playing.
Yes,
this is
60 degrees. Yeah,
man, like a spook plays so good pre-spawn and post-spawn. Popper, we've seen what guys can do. I mean, yeah.
I see Cox with a frog in his hand until he finds, you know, a 7 on a bed in a place where no one else would be looking but John Cox.
Right.
Going through like a storm drain to get into like a secret water hole, like how he won that FLW tournament.
Yeah, like places kayak guys can't even get back to.
Let me get this big crest line.
The only advantage, Bailey, that I will say that a boat guy has to a kayak guy when it comes to real skinny water is the fact that they can use their boat to bust through stuff to get into stuff. They have a motor to like jump and push and like
break things.
A guy's like just basically using his paddle to try to push himself over a log or like
like they could just like get a running start and go, you know.
Well, I mean, you
worry about it later.
You can get a running start in a kayak. It's just not going to turn out well for you. It's just not gonna... All right, but any other, you know, predictions in terms of pattern? What might be relevant for this tournament before we start getting into the buckets?
I just think it's going to be a junk fishing fest. Personally, I think whoever wins it is going to have like 2 or 3 different patterns going on pre-spawn fish.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a bunch of things that are going to play. Jim Johnson seems to love to refer to the free rig ever since we started talking about the free rig, and I love it. I'm all for it.
Jim, throw it in there now. Are you picking Taku?
please.
Yeah, Jim, if you haven't made your picks yet, please don't until all of us have our picks in, and then
pick
change
whoever
them.
we don't choose.
Yeah, pick whoever Bart chooses, if you would. No, just kidding. All right, so if you guys are good, let's start getting into the buckets here. You guys good?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with our reigning champion of Santee Cooper to lead us off here. Deacon, start us off with bucket A.
All right, so bucket A. Man, I have picked him, and he'll probably burn me at some point. But here's the problem with picking having a good run in fantasy fishing is like your guys who I do think that there's something to relying on guys that like if you kind of get a consistent like, hey, this guy's just having a good season, keep rolling with it. But when you look at a guy, like those guys, because they're having a good season, they all end up in bucket A. And then you're like, I can't pick them in all the different buckets. So that's like a negative side of things. But man, one thing that I will stress about Chick, and they're always there in May generally, but FLW has spent a lot of time fishing on Chick. So I'm going to look to the guys that fished the FLW tour. Previous to the merger, Chick was hit so many times, and there are some guys with a lot of history have done really well here. And two of them are in this group, and that's John Cox and Buddy Gross. Have both been incredible there, like top 3 finishes, a lot of them, and wins. So I don't know if it'll be a complete spawning deal, but I've seen John Cox win on there without a spawning deal, just throwing a wacky rig Senko around cypress trees plenty of times. So I'm going John Cox in bucket A.
Can never argue against John Cox. Ever. Quite literally never. Not even a small mouth. Yeah. Let's see. Second place from last week was Bart. Let me pull up Bartuzik's pick here. Bartuzik also is going with John Cox. Which, like I said, I don't think you can argue that pick, especially with his recent success, especially if you're going to go with like a Buddy Gross. Rumor has it he lives on the place, so I think he knows a thing or two about it. For me, I would love to pick John Cox. I would love to pick Buddy Gross, but starting to see these standings here, I know I'm gonna have to make some moves if I want to give Deacon a run for his money by the end of the year and snatch a bait of my choice from Omnia Fishing. And that being said, I'm going to go with a guy that every time he's on the TVA, he seems to do solid, if not a top 10, and seems to be kind of under the radar and is only in 4% right now, which is kind of crazy. And I'm going Brandon Lester.
I think that's a good pick.
That is a great pick. Since Bart isn't here, I'll kind of interject here real quick. I was between Brandon Lester and Brandon Polnick because they both do well in junky type fish, like when it fishes junky, like junk tournaments. And I had Brandon Lester picked up until about 10 seconds before you said Brandon Lester. So I'm going with Brandon Polnick just because I think he's going to catch them however he wants, cranking, chatterbait, big swim bait. He can catch them however.
I think if there's one thing, if we haven't, well, we should have known before Santee Cooper, but if there's one thing we've learned about Brandon Polnick at this stage in his career is regardless of where it is, time of the year, what's going on, whatever happens, tornadoes, hurricanes, Brandon Polnick is always a factor everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think, especially even above that, I would say he's even more, I mean, he's a factor everywhere, but he's even more of a factor on big fish fisheries.
Yeah.
Yes.
When there is big fish, he plays. Like he gets them. Like I don't know what it is, but those like 5 to 7 pounders, he's got dialed on big places.
Yeah, and I remember quoting, basically verbatim from Santee saying that I don't think this is, Polnick's kind of derby for a full-blown spawn derby. I think he'll do well, get a check, but I don't think he's going to, do very well. And he almost won the damn tournament, so he made me eat my words.
Yeah, and he was catching a lot of his fish. They were pre-spawn in the morning.
Yeah.
So, which is like, oh, he's like the only one that's getting big bites doing that, which just speaks volumes to where he has become, right, as an angler. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. San Diego and BP, which I think is another solid pick. I think some other picks in here that could be kind of sleepers, especially if there's like a pre-spawn deal going on. The one thing that popped in my head, but I couldn't stray away from Lester, was Stetson Blaylock. I think he's another solid pick in this group. For A, what else do you guys think A-wise? Guys that might be good picks, which I'm surprised none of us picked Buddy Gross. I was really thinking Bart was going to pick Buddy Gross.
Hey, like that's a great pick, like right? Like I mean, 50% of that field or more are those two guys, and it's because I mean, look at their track record on the FLW Tour there, and you'll be like, oh, makes sense.
Uh-oh, Andy.
I just commented on. I said, Jim, you need to change your pick. Pregnant. Polnick's wife is pregnant. They need that cut ice cream to make it through the weekend. So, like,
I thought it was Pickwick where he's like in his last video where he's like, if I make the final day, Kyle Van Dever will fish in my place.
Yeah, because I think her due date is like this Saturday of Pickwick.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, all great picks for Group A. There's definitely a couple different options. So looking for, and before we get into Group B, guys, if you have some hot takes, some really bold picks, keep firing those out there because we still have 4 little prize packs to give away to you guys that we'll start giving away. And guys, Andy, Deacon, fire at will if you see something you like. Start throwing some giveaways at these guys.
Hey guys, quick question: has the Elite Series going to Chick was the first time in a long time, right? Or was it the first time ever?
Well, they were supposed to go in the spring, like the COVID year, right? And then they bumped it to the fall. So that was the first time in a long time.
Yeah, was it 2 years ago? 2 falls ago, like a year and a half ago.
I'm struggling on their website to.
Yeah, the new website is. Some parts are good. Some parts are like, eh.
I can see the top 4. I don't know how to expand this to see like the actual results of that tournament.
I have no idea. I think the last time, I could be wrong, but I think the last time before the fall tournament where Lee Livesey won, the last time they were there, I think was Texas Fest where Jacob Wheeler won.
Well,
I think
Chickamauga's not in Texas, so why would it be Texas?
Or not?
It was Bass Fest or
Bass
whatever.
Fest. Yeah,
and they brought in like FLW guys to fish it and stuff, and college anglers. Which Steve Mooey, a good friend of ours, actually I think placed in like the top 20 in that tournament.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who's Steve Mooey? I don't know.
Yeah. Scrub.
Another father to be.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So.
But yeah. So what are we thinking in Group B? Deacon, kick us off.
Oh man, I am really between 2 picks in B. Probably the most I've ever been this season, and it's mostly because kind of like in poker, when you have a lead, you play differently than when you are trying to come back. So that's kind of my issue, is that I see a pick in here that is way undervalued. And I think that it is somebody who, oh gosh, for some reason just switched to my Harris chain. Let me go back to my chick.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Anyways, in bucket B, I have a really hard time, and I'm still like,
dude, it's so tough.
Dude, like when you get in these top buckets, like there's so many good anglers, and I want to stay with Luke Palmer. He is such a safe pick. I mean, he is just as safe as it comes.
He just cuts checks.
Yeah, he's a check cutter, and he is someone who has figured out how to break into the top 10 as well. But David Williams is 0.4%. I mean, is not a pick in B, right? Well, he has 2 top 10s at Chick on the FLW Tour in the from 2019 and I think 2020. So hammer on Chick. Both those times were in May, so I could absolutely get crushed here. But those old guys like a David Williams, a Todd Otten, like throwing a chatterbait around, getting around reaction fish, been there a lot because of the FLW Tour. I think that's where I'm going to go above a Luke Palmer, and that could absolutely burn me and open up the race for somebody because Luke will get a check no matter what, and David I could see going both ways. But man, he's fishing well. He's in bucket B for a reason. So I'm going David Williams.
I like that. I like the risk you're taking because 1, it's just fun, but 2, it gives me a window to sneak in there.
I literally like I would absolutely be picking him if I wasn't in. I wouldn't be as hesitant if I wasn't in the lead, but because I'm in the lead, I should play it safer. But man, it gives you a window. So good luck.
That's right. And I'm probably gonna flop, but hopefully this guy does not for me. But before I go, Bart Tuzik, being that he got second place last week, picked Jacob Porosnik, which I think is a solid pick. But there's one that he always worries me because I really wanted to pick him for Hartwell, but he had like a flop day one, had a really good day two.
I think it's safe.
Yeah, it's one I could go both ways on, so I can never say here nor there. And Jim Johnson, I'm seeing your comment right now. You're going to have to change your pick as well for Group B because I'm also going Takumi Ito, who's become one of the more consistent anglers wherever these guys are going. But I also have a bias because this is where the place I met Takumi Ito on the water was Lake Chickamauga, and he persisted to catch a 6-pounder in my face where I didn't think fish existed. So with that, I'm going Takumi Ito. I just think it's the time of year where he's easily going to get a check. He's just been everywhere they go. He finds a way to catch them. He's just a magician, man. He takes Disneyland with him. There is no smallmouth Disneyland. It's just Takumi. It's just Takumi. It's his world. We're all just living in it.
Just real quick here, we're getting some KG Queen love because of the mustache, and we're gonna give him some Queen love back and give him some Queen tackle here. So Jordan, reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook and get us your info, and we're gonna get a code over to you for queentackle.com.
Heck yes, I love that because of the mustache. He's like becoming the young brunette Matt Robertson, which is quite a compliment, honestly. But,
it's like North Carolina Smoky Mountain, like Matt Robertson look.
Yeah. Either way, I'm a huge fan of it, especially because he drives a damn van, like the Queen machine, I think is what he calls it.
I love that thing. Yeah.
So I was torn between two. Scott Canterbury's been quite quiet since he won his AOY, and I was like, oh, this might be a good place to pick Scott. He's in the lead in Group B for whatever reason. They have him the number one person to pick. Oh, because it's alphabetical order. Forget me. He's only 6% owned, but I went with Taku as well just because he's overall consistent and he catches them literally everywhere he goes. And me being in last, I need consistency and I need home run picks. That's why I was swaying between the two. But Canterbury could also end up in like 72nd and really screw me. So I'm going to go consistent in Group B and go Takumo Ito.
Takumo?
Takumo. Don't. Dude, it's been a long day.
Don't you disrespect my man.
Takumi.
Come on now.
I can't talk, all right?
Yeah.
Hellabass showed up and said Bartless. Yes, man.
Bartless was here. And
he was here for like half a second, but man, he's been bailing.
Bart joined us tonight. He made the effort to come on while he was driving, but his signal was not the greatest, so he ended up hopping off here, which probably did on purpose, so you don't have to deal with us fools. But I think all those are great picks. But I think there's a couple in here we can also shout out to. In addition, so there was a comment earlier on Joseph Webster, who is second, I believe, right now in Rookie of the Year standings. He's a guy from Alabama who has experience on the TVA. He's only at 0.4%. I think you could look for him to make some jumps. And I'd also look to I thought he was in bucket B's and bucket C, so we'll bring it up in a little bit. But also Jake Whitaker's at 3.5%, has history on Chickamauga, granted a completely different time of year. But just having him on the show, I think this could also shape up for something in his wheelhouse.
I love how we're running that play right now. Like anybody who comes on the show, like it'd be official, right? If Whitaker has like a top 10 finish, it would be absolutely official. Everybody's going to be wanting to come on before an event.
Dude, yeah, if Whitaker like won or top 10, like it'd be official. Like we're a horseshoe for these guys, basically, because every time they come on here right before an event, boom. Like it's just like, I don't know. It's clockwork. All right. So any other picks you guys might have that we didn't talk about yet in Group B? I think that's about it, right? I mean, maybe Zaldane could play a factor if a mag draft's going to play.
Or Brandon Card, like low-key always shows up in Tennessee River tournaments.
Yeah, and I mean, man, my problem with Zaldane is that he is so good with a swim bait, and it's so up and down when it comes to like a derby with him, it seems. And like there's probably a list of like 5 guys that I love watching live fishing, and he is one of them. Like, he just explains everything and he shows what he's doing, and he does such a great job with it. But it's like, as far as a fantasy pick, he's a tough one, man.
Yeah, he has some of the greatest, like, I think 2-day tournaments in like the past 5 years of the Elite Series, but just cannot close. Day 3 is like his nemesis.
And he knows it. He's open about it. Like,
yeah,
he's like,
it's not like we're talking crap about him, but like he literally comes out and said it himself. All right, let's start. So Group C was probably the hardest bucket for me to pick. I don't know about you boys, but
yeah, it's pretty tough. I flip-flop between 3 people actually, and I settled where I'm going.
All right, Deacon, kick us off, buddy.
All right, so bucket C, man, I'm leaning again on the FLW Tour guys, and maybe that's a mistake that can definitely burn me, being that it's just there's other anglers here than those guys. But I went with Austin Felix. I think that he is due to have a good derby, and he's a great fisherman.
Be careful. Be careful.
And he's done well there, man. I think he top 10 one of the Chickamauga events.
Just real quick to Jim too. I want to give him a quick shout out. Hope you have a speedy recovery, buddy. Feel better soon.
Rest up. Real quick for Chris Birch. Yes, there is a Serious Angler Fantasy Fishing group on Bassmaster. If you guys are not in it and are interested, go down to the link in the description below, and it'll take you right to the group. You can join. And if you're doing well and you win, you get a $250 Omnia gift card at the end of the season. But just throw it out there right away before we get into Bart's pick. I also am going Austin Felix, which I am shocked that Bart Tuzik did not pick him in this bucket. You mean that should be kind of like Bart's MO is if he lives in Minnesota or Wisconsin, he's getting picked.
That's right.
But like in the spirits of this being, him finding a good pre-spawn deal, I feel like Felix is a really good pick. So I guess we're Deacon, John, and I are going to ride out this Felix pick, and hopefully Jim Johnson's curse won't ruin our chances here.
So, well, I did not take Austin Felix. I bounced between 3 people: Chris Johnston, Wes Logan, and Seth Fider. I didn't know which way I wanted to go there because I feel like they could all do really well, and they all might be in the top 50 cut when it's all said and done. Low-key, Fighter is having a down year, what a lot of people would consider from his AOI, but he's still cashing checks. So I'm going to go with Fighter. I think this is where he kind of flips it around, and you see him catch some big ones on some Bassman spinner baits on some big pre-spawners. And I think that's the way I'm going with it. I'm going Fighter.
I like that. I after Santee, I think I'm going to lay off Mr. Chris Johnston for a while. Maybe until Oahe or something like that. We'll figure it out. I
told you it was Corey's turn to shine this year, and it seems to be working out pretty well.
The Corey Johnston tour, quite literally. And all right, so to round out our Group C, Bart Tuzik went with a guy that I was thinking about picking, but he's always literally a coin flip. And that's Chad Pipkins, which coming in at 1.2%. I think Bart. It is, and I think Bart's just taking a swing for the fence with that pick.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, there's some other picks in here that could be in that same mindset, right? That you could go one way or the other. I don't think Kufal had a big ownership for Santee Cooper, and the way he was catching them was the way you're catching pre-spawners, which. Not saying that there's not cypress fields in Chickamauga like there is Santee, but it's the kind of same mindset and finding those fish could play for Kufal to have another decent tournament.
Just real quick here, a guy that we should have talked about in Group C is Lee Livesey. Gizzard Shad. He gets Gizzard Shad.
And let's not forget he won there. I mean,
and he won there. Kevin's going to get some hummingbird gear because of this. Yeah. So now I'm putting the pressure on you guys to pick the other 2 winners. But I think Livesey could be a sleeper pick there.
Andy with the bomb picks for giveaways. I love it.
So
that was good.
And if I'm not mistaken, Livesey is also a hummingbird guy.
Exactly.
So yeah, but that's why we're going there.
All right, but so let's dive into that for a second because I like the Livesey pick because after Hartwell, I think he really showed that he can catch fish not outside of a grass fishery or a Texas fishery. You know, a spotted bass, clear water type of deal. Livesey showed, and he was in third place going into day 3 of the Classic. I think Livesey can definitely do good here. I mean, he literally just had a kid, so I mean, if you want to talk Bassmaster history, if you have a baby, you do well. But beyond that theory, I do not like the theory that, because he won here in the fall. I'm not a fan of that pick because that is one completely different time of year. And they had matted out grass with cheese when there's none of that right now.
He just knows how to catch big fish.
Yeah, I was just going to say Lee's just good, man. That's more of it. Like, yeah, he won and that's great. But like, he's good. That's all.
Well, I do like the theory that you have, though, Andy, with the gizzard shad. Now, I know the gizzard shad act completely different than those down on Lake Fork, but obviously there's going to be some similarities, I think.
A shad is a shad is a shad. If they eat shad, they're going to eat them somewhat similar. And it's just how do you apply it to contour breaks and structure and bow positioning. So they're going to catch you.
I got we're going right into an Omnia giveaway.
Love it.
Spot Hunters pick Mike Huff for Drain the Lake. Mike Huff finished second there last year. I think he's a fantastic angler in that middle region of the country. Bluff walls, all that stuff, man. He's awesome. And it's not something we talk about enough. He's Drain the Lake. That's another whole fantasy deal that's an absolute blast to me. So I like that pick, and I'm going to take your pick, Spot Hunter 13, and actually do that on my Drain the Lake. I think that's a fantastic pick for Drain the Lake, and it's a tough deal because he's fishing well. I think he's in one of the top buckets to like pick him in this derby, not in Drain the Lake. But Spot Hunter, get with us, message us on social, and we will get you out an Omnia gift card.
I love that. If folks, whether you're in the comments now or on social media, we'll put up a poll. But for next season, if you guys want us to incorporate Drain the Lake, one of the reasons we haven't incorporated it this year was because we, as a group, take so long to talk about our picks, like an hour and a half, that if we did Drain the Lake, obviously it'd be in probably another 30, 45 minutes. But if you guys want us to incorporate that, I'm game for that. That's all the more reason for us to talk more crap to Ronnie Moore. So we're all in for that. So you guys let us know if you want to see Drain the Lake, if that's something you guys play, and we'll get in on that. But let's see. Let's start diving. So that means all that's left, folks, is the Hobie eyewear giveaway. If you want some Hobie eyewear shades, make sure you guys are putting in some of your hot takes, some of your fantasy fishing picks, maybe some some conversation starters. Throw that in there, and let's get you guys some Hobie eyewear shades.
Love this comment. Brad says, so a longer podcast? I think yes.
All right, Brad, we see you. Okay.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, Group D, Deacon.
Okay.
Take it over.
This was a really easy pick for me. These lower buckets, I think you kind of got to go high percentage. So Steve Kennedy was someone who I'm like, man, he's just so up and down, and I could see him having a breakout. But, man, you're talking junk fishing and pre-spawn and maybe some spawners, but someone who just does well, 29%. Jason Christie, man. It's hard to pick against a Christie all the way.
Even though he just finished like dead last as Santee.
Yeah. I that's uncharacteristic, man. Okay.
Very.
So that's even more reason, in my opinion, when he's down in a bucket D, it's hard to pass up someone like that.
Who is it again? I'm sorry, I just missed. I was reading comments.
Christie.
Are you being serious? I thought you were being sarcastic. I was like, you don't know who Jason? We were talking about Jason.
No. Who's JC Christie? I'd never heard of that guy. Did he win Red Crest? No, I'm just kidding.
Probably.
So, yeah, I was actually kind of surprised, honestly, that he was in almost 30% ownership.
Yeah.
It's got to be just of a classic bias.
It's just Jason Christie.
Jason Christie, man.
Spinnerbait. He catches big fish.
I understand that. But like I could see like a 20%, but I don't know. I guess I couldn't.
How many times has he been in bucket D? Because I'm going to
Never.
say very, very few times. That's the reason. That's I think the big portion of that.
Yeah. All right. So after your pick, Deacon, Bartuzik's pick is a guy that lives local, could do well, but is one that is either he will make or break your fantasy fishing team, and he's going with Carl Jacobson, which I think Carl could have a great tournament.
Yeah.
But it also could struggle. Another guy that just had a baby, so he could win it all.
But
these elite boys are getting busy, man. Like
no, they're like, man, we're settled down in our career now. Like, all right, let's start.
I think Fighter started like a baby train.
It must have been because like KJ Queen's got a baby. You got twins on the way.
Like, good gosh.
That means you know what that means.
Double wins.
That's great. Go back to back.
back.
No. So yeah, I agree with Bart on this one. I'm going Carl too, just because if you get Carl on a TVA lake, he just seems to catch them. Every time they go to Gunnersville, he catches them, and he moved to Chick, 3.5 years ago? And he's spent a lot of time out there learning. Every big fish you see in the off season, I think he catches on Chick. So he could know where like those secret honey hole spots are now, and he's going to catch them. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right, you see a Molex glide bait.
The Gloida. All right. So with my pick, I went kind of the same, a guy that lives on the lake, which I think for a lot of people don't keep up with some of the pros. You might not know that he lives on the lake and has for the past couple of years. And he's a guy that I think can do well in the pre-spawn. And I know it's kind of a leap of faith, but I think he'll do well. He's only at 4.4% ownership, and that is Hunter Shryock. Literally lives 2 minutes from the ramp. I've seen him in the few times I've been at Chickamauga. I see him at the ramp every time, so he's putting his time in there. So
that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So it's not for a lack of not knowing the area, right? So I'm going to go with Hunter on this one. I know he can. He's not known to get in that top 10, but he's pretty consistent in that top 30. At least has been in the past. I don't know where he's standing in Angler of the Year this year.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I kept flexing between Carl and Hunter. I was like, man, those are two hard people to pick between because they just live there. So
yeah. I think another guy to look out for that is like almost like a gut feeling pick. Like there's really no like previous evidence or any theory as to why beyond just a gut pick is Gussie. He's been too quiet this year.
He's having a tough start to the year, it seems. So he'll catch him. He'll figure it out at some point.
Tennessee River.
Yeah. You ain't kidding. Like it's been like a low-lying roller coaster for Gussie since that Tennessee River event.
One thing that I would be very curious to see if it'll play, being the time of year, is, and I want to see what the discharge is going to be like for the current levels, is will the tail race play for smallmouth? Yeah. That's what I'm curious about.
Does the water have to be up for that tail race to play, though? It has to be up to get up there in a bass boat on Chick, doesn't it?
I don't know that for a fact. I don't know. I can't speak on that because, one, I've never been up in it. I've never talked to people about it. I know our boy Alex Rudd fishes it out of a freaking kayak, so I think they'll be okay getting up there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, I think that if there was a guy that's going to go check the tail race for smallmouth, I'd say Gussie's probably going to be one of those guys. But I don't know that that's a winning pattern. I think that's one that could be go get 14 pounds of smallmouth and go search for a big, because I know that it's like a consistent pattern, even like that for like Nickajack, which Nickajack, the tail race, most of the tail races kind of set up similar. I think guys, depending on what that's going to look like, guys might be looking at that during practice just to see if there's a bite to go up. Hey, can I go up and just, is my check for this tournament up there, and then spend 4 hours to go look for a big? Because like we talked about, like Chickamauga is not a big place. You could run around on that place fairly easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just throwing different theories out there. But so a guy that I wanted, if I mistaken in Group B, I thought he was Group C, but apparently he's in Group D, so I wasn't as knowledgeable as I thought. That I think is going to have his breakout tournament is Cody Huff.
Yeah, it is what, like a 0.5% owned?
Yeah, 0.5, literally 0.5. So I could see him doing pretty well in this one. I hope so. I hope so for the guy because the dude is so dang good. Like he's won big tournaments before he was even in the Elite Series, before he was even going after the Opens, beating guys that are these big name pros and using college. So just out of a personal bias too, I hope he does well. Any other ones in Group D that you guys think would match up well for Lake Chickamauga?
Maybe like a Josh Douglas because he's had a lot of time there and he just understands how to read electronics. He's done well on other Tennessee River ledge lakes like Kentucky Lake. When the bite's tough, he always seems to catch him finesse. So maybe
didn't he have like a 28.5-pound bag at Santee?
Yeah, on the bed. And I think a couple of his kickers came on frogs, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He posted on social. That was freaking sick.
Oh, that's so fun.
Oh, man.
But like a Justin Hamner could even be like a surprise pick as well.
I could see that. He's a power fisherman. He literally told me, like, he's like, yeah, I have like 3 years experience using a spinning reel. Everything else is like power fishing because that's why I look like such a doofus, the classic using a Demiki rig, which I thought honestly was impressive.
Yeah.
If he has little experience with spinning reel, the way he used Demiki rigging like that. But forward facing sonar is an amazing thing, I guess. Excels the learning curve. But all right, let's dive into the last group, last bucket here, Group E. And I am fairly intrigued to see if we all have the same pick.
I think we're going to surprise some people with this pick, but just real quick, can you believe Kyle Welcher is at 41%?
I believe it. I mean, the dude's from there, dude. He has so much history there. If this guy wasn't in there, and honestly, a lot of my thing is a personal bias because he's a buddy. But if Kyle Welcher, like, I mean, that's who I'd be picking.
Yeah.
But I didn't pick Kyle Welcher to spoil alert, but Deacon, kick us off.
Yeah.
He went Welcher. I'm calling it. No.
I mean, and I really should probably even be, I'm still like, dude, in my head, I'm kicking myself about the David Williams pick, but I got a good feeling in bucket B, playing it safe. Like that is not a safe pick. He's a 0.4%. Kyle Welcher, man, 41%. Bucket E gets to a point where there's always that high percentage guy and like normally finishes well. And Kyle Welcher is someone who, above all else in this bucket, he fishes fast and in the pre-spawn, covering water. I just think it's hard to go against him.
Yeah, you give Spot Hunter this prize pack, and
I know,
and boring safe pick.
No, he is, but like he's a boring safe pick. But like, hey, I'm here to win. I'm not.
He's
here
playing with like a 6-point lead. Like
he's not boring. He's the poker player. All right, he's not boring. He's elusive, mysterious.
That's right.
I think he could have a great tournament. I think he keeps that 6-inch mag draft in his hands, or even an 8.
He's fishing well right now, man.
Work, especially with the jig.
Except for Jim Johnson took him.
Like,
yeah. Oh God. Perfect. Yes. Pick Welcher.
Good job, Jim. Thank you.
But so the guy, I mean, the Hiawatha's open, and he's known. Like if you watch his YouTube channel, he loves the Hiawassee. Him and Matt Airy did well in there. I believe on the Chickamauga event in the fall. But still, like that stuff could play here. But I will say, and I can't speak for Andy because he told me his pick, and I won't. I mean, Andy, can I just throw it out there for everybody?
Good, dude. Go ahead.
So the rest of us, Bartuzik, Andrew, and myself included, we all went with Mr. Jacob Fouts, the rookie, the guide on Lake Chickamauga.
Lives on the lake.
Knows a lot of it. And let's just say, I have a text here that might or might not be verbatim, but basically said the boys better catch the ass next week. So I'm riding my man's confidence. Okay, we're just gonna knock on wood after that.
Here's the deal. I'm gonna say it right now. Bailey's like industry level is like a Ronnie Moore or like getting there, right?
Yeah,
where,
it's like, literally getting there.
Has all this insider info, and Ronnie Moore has been doing terrible at fantasy here lately, and so insider information doesn't always help. I'm just saying, insider information doesn't always, because fishermen, it's like, oh, dude, like I got him dialed, and then it's like, wow, I didn't catch him today.
Well, they changed 7 different ways, and I don't know where they went.
Exactly.
So this is Deacon's way of saying politely, dude, you suck.
I got you. You know,
I'm
he's
just
just saying, I
saying.
got you.
I mean, I will say to the flip side of that, obviously more riding this on like a hype pick, hope the dude crushes type of deal, but also like there is a side of it. It's like if you know too much, it will burn you.
Mhm.
There's definitely an aspect of it'll, it's either a guarantee or you're just going to completely flop. And obviously, I hope that Fouts can not flop. I think he can keep a level head because, like, I mean, dude, he was calling out shots and going to that last open last year. That's like either he did well and made it the elites, or if he like sucked, that obviously he would not make the elites. But like he was literally saying, he goes, "I'm going to make the elites this tournament." Like pressure doesn't seem to get to him, which is one that I think is pretty cool, especially just kind of hearing it from him. Yeah. So I hope he does well. I mean, I'd love to see another rookie win. Knock on wood. That would be pretty cool. I think another pick in Group E that's one that people are sleeping on is Brock Mosley.
Yep.
He's another great pick, as well as Frank Talley's at 0.7%.
I was going to say that, yeah. He's a sleeper dark horse.
Give him a thunder cricket. Long. He's going to catch him.
He's a chatterbait winding fool, man.
We have a comment here from Kevin Wesley of Beat Bailey E, new group name. I mean, that's a giant group because a lot of people are beating me. So I mean, feel free, but I'll get dead last on that group. I can guarantee that. You know what? Just because he's talking a little trash here, I like it. Kevin, we're gonna get you some Hobie eyewear shades.
Doubling up on Kevin. Nice.
I like it. Oh, did we already pick Kevin?
Yeah, he got some hummingbird swag.
Oh, son of a. All right, Kevin, we're going to send you some shades, but there's going to be more Hobie shades up for grabs for you folks. So there's still Hobie shades up for grabs. I want to make sure that we're getting more people some stuff. But Kevin, I will keep my promise there and get you some Hobie shades. So folks, keep firing away your picks, your fantasy picks, hot takes.
I got Dylan's comment here. How much do you think forward facing will play this week? I think a couple things here. As far as I think there's like everyone's like, okay, how much does forward facing play? I think when we traditionally think about it, it's like, okay, targeting specific fish and staring at your graph and fishing. But like in today's day and age, in my eyes, forward facing plays literally all the time. If you're fishing shallow or what, like you can always be looking at the bank, see what the bank actually looks like in front of you, see if it's a ledge in front of you. You can spin out and see one. So like, I think it'll definitely play to some extent, but I don't think it will be, I can't say like for sure that it won't be one on a something like that, but it'll play. There's no doubt it'll play. I don't know how much it'll play, and I won't say that it's a guaranteed a ton of it. Like there's going to be some fish shallow, there's going to be some fish caught on a top water. So I think it'll play less than more, but it'll still play. I
think unless your name is John Cox, it is going to play into your game one way or another.
Sure.
Because like look at it. Let me look at the facts. I mean, Harris Chain, Scott Martin was bed fishing with forward facing sonar. I think whether you're watching them from start to finish, cast to cast, I don't think that'll happen. I think that's more of like if you got a pre-spawn deal going on, that maybe it might be shallow. You're locating those fish with forward, making your cast, and maybe not paying attention to it after that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 99% it's going to play this week. I think 100% it's going to play into the winning factor.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I would assume there that, like, I think that people take forward facing and they're like, hey, like, it's when you're looking at it at a fish, but like, it plays all the time, 100% of the time. But unless you're John Cox, like you said, but like, as far as like, that's the dominant pattern as scope and fish, I don't think that'll be the case, but I think it'll be like using it shallow, using it to like look at everything.
I like it. All right. So we went through bucket E here. There's definitely some obvious picks, but what are we thinking weight wise?
Oh, dude, that's one part
I will throw Bart's weight out here. He has 83 pounds and 4 ounces. So it's essentially kind of like 20 a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking like you're gonna see the winner's gonna have 1 to 2 like really good bags, so maybe like a 25 and a 23.
Damn.
And
that's
then
a giant bag for this time of year.
Yeah, 25, 20. Oh, maybe not. If they're pre-spawn, 28.5 could definitely happen. but I don't think that it will be 4 days in a row. Like the winner will have maybe like a 28, a 23, and then like a 17 and a 20. So I'm going 86-10 just because I don't think you can catch 28 pounds every day when there's 1,500 boats on that lake every day.
That's what I'm saying with here. Like I know 28 is possible. I mean, shoot, I've seen videos where guys are catching over 40 pounds. I know guys that have almost hit 50 on Lake Chickamauga, but that's in like February, like when no one's really out on the lake that much. Well, this time of year where we're going to have nice weather, I would love to see 28 and a half, but I'm going to go the skeptic route in here. I don't think you're going to see that. I think you'll see like an 8-pounder. But I don't think you're going to see even close to a total weight of 91. We have 87.6 here. We have Zaldane with a 10-pounder on a swim bait, which will make for great Bass Live. But my theory here, I'm going with I would love to see him smash him. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go the skeptic route here, and I'm going to go 79 pounds, 12 ounces, just under 80 pounds. I'm going to go with, you have one day with 20 pounds, a couple 18s.
19 average. I think that's very fair.
So I'm going to go based off of more FLW Tour data. So in 2020, the tournament was in May. Post-spawn, Wheeler absolutely cracked them. And this was a Major League Fishing title or what would you call it?
Ledge event. It was
a
ledge event too, right?
And he smoked them. But that being said, it was post-spawn. And you have those fish that line up on the beds. He had like 93 pounds. But behind him, I think it was Cox or somebody like that, had only 81 pounds. And I had it pulled up, and I don't know where it went. But anyways, that was June. I'm sorry, it was June. Cole Floyd had 81 behind him. Wheeler had 93, which is a bag, 93.12 on a 4-day derby there. I think in the pre-spawn, those fish can be just as big as that. I don't know if people will figure them out to where they can go and get that kind of a weight for 4 days in a row. The other tournament there that was in May, it was like 83 something in Major League Fishing or was FLW when that tournament occurred. So I am going to go a little bit higher because it is pre-spawn and those fish have eggs in them and they're heavy. So I'm normally the skeptic in weights, but I'm going to go 84.9.
I guess the water has been fluctuating a lot lately, Spot Hunter said. So that could play a big deal too. Like those fish just don't know where to be.
Junk guys, Jason Christie.
Gerald Swindle.
That just means your steeper secondary points could be more consistent.
Yep.
That could be interesting. That might be if that's the case and it stays that case for next week, your pre-spawn guys are gonna probably shine versus your guys up on the bank.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Or your guys who like a Mike Huff who man, it seems like every time on live he's fishing a bluff, like bluffs.
Yeah.
Less fluctuation when it comes to a bluff wall. Like those fish are going to stay versus a bank that's flat.
Wasn't he just creeping a jig up north in the river?
Dude, he's so good with a dang jig on a bluff wall, which just is like, that's Tennessee, right? Like that's just
right.
what those guys do.
What do you guys have for big bass? What do you think it's gonna be?
Pre-spawn, I'm gonna go 9.5. I don't think there's gonna be a 10, but I'm gonna go 9.5. Just because I think somebody's going to crack a giant on a swim bait.
Man, 9.5 would be cool. I'm going to go 8.2.
What? I'm just curious. What was it during Lee's event when he won last year?
Oh, God, maybe 6?
7, 6, something like that.
No, I think Mike Huff had it. It was, I think it was a 6.
Okay.
So 6 or a 7.
So during the super tournament, Major League Fishing super tournament there in June 23rd, there was both a 9.8 weight and a 9.4 post-spawn on the ledges. So those are two big fish. Let's see what it was.
I know
wasn't the PPT there last year?
Yeah, they caught a bunch over 7.
And then here's one. So this is May, like right after the spawn, when they first get out to the ledges and are just munching. John Cox won it. Buddy Gross took second. This was May of 2019. And then you have the one and only Austin Felix in 10th. And then you also have my pick, David Williams, in 9th. But anyways, that was ledge fishing probably in May. Guy had a 913 and then an 808. So I'm going to say somewhere in the 9-pound range.
Another 9. Okay. We have a comment here from Tim Creighton saying no love for David Mullins, which is one I neglected to talk about because he is another Tennessee boy, which I think he'll do well here. I mean, granted, he's full of surprises, so he could do well, but I don't think he'll shine here. I can more see him doing well with the chatterbait in his hands versus a crankbait here. Granted, I think a square bill will play, but I think a lot of guys are going to have like a chatterbait or spinnerbait in their hands for this sort of deal.
Apparently, there was a 36-pound bag caught a few weeks ago.
See, like this is where it becomes interesting in fantasy fishing because lakes like this or like a Lake Fork, it's hard to compare weekends. I mean, granted, a Lake Chickamauga has tournaments on it every single day. It's hard to compare like some guy going out fun fishing from dark to dark to a tournament day. I think it's definitely something to factor in for time of year, but you know what's possible. But I think it's just kind of hard to weigh in on what will happen during the tournament. You know, it can go any which way.
Mm-hmm.
Tournaments are different, man.
But you know what? I like the optimism here.
Big was over 12 pounds.
Whew, we got more insider info. And you know what? You know what we're going to do here? Because we still have some Hobie eyewear shades to give away. Braden, you won yourself some Hobie eyewear shades. We're going to throw you another pair. Get in touch with us. We'll send you some Hobie eyewear sweet shades. So that's Kevin and Braden walking away with some Hobie eyewear shades this week. Yeah, because of my not even realizing how many people won tonight. So we'll honor it both. We'll get you guys some shades. But we have a good question here, actually. I'm getting torn left and right here. But thoughts on John Cox doing well on Santee with no practice?
Cox in it, man. It's just who he is.
It's called John Cox.
Yeah. So John Cox, right? Like his style of fishing is to look for spawning flats that time of year. And it's pretty, you can kind of tell where they're going to spawn based off of mapping, just the way the contour lines look. So he probably ran around to like every spawning possible area that had spawners on it and just got on the trolling motor on 110 and was looking. And he's like, okay, now I know where some are. Let's go over here and find a few more. And then really in a spawning event on like Santee Cooper's, it's a bigger lake, right? But it's not giant. It fishes relatively small based on what we saw. I don't think it's that hard really to figure out where the big ones would be all per se. Especially on a lake that just has giants everywhere.
Yeah, that's fair. And when you're John Cox, I mean, you just know where those fish are going to go. But here's a funny comment from Shadow Swordfish. Chances of an angler fighting. Okay, here's the question.
We need more giveaways.
Chances.
Let's go. We need. Yeah, that's a great comment.
We need more Ania gift cards. We need more Queen Tackle jigs to give away. But chances, yes. I'm not going to even say a percentage. Just yes. Here's my question: who would be the angler most likely to get in a fight with a local on the spot?
Oh gosh, Ike and Ellie.
Yes. Yes, I would.
On the person.
Pay to see that. I would pay to see it. I would pay because it'd be like WWE, like Lee Livesey. Could you imagine pissing him off? I'd be scared for my life.
I think he's like a nice guy. I think someone who would
he's a nice dude. Dude, he's like that guy that you're always nice to you, but like the guy you do not want to piss off. Because there's a reason they call him the sheriff, man. He's an intimidating dude. Like,
yeah. It's always the stares for me. Like I think of guys who get pissed off, like a Matt Herron.
Yeah, like somebody just commented Matt Herron.
Matt Herron. Good thing Randall Tharp isn't in this event. Back to
dude, Hackney has straight up like, man, he is a dude who, like, if you're in his little back hole area, it's like we're gonna talk about this right now.
Just remember, Godzilla ain't got nothing on me.
That's right.
I love that. Quote.
Yeah. So not to stir any dirt here. But did you guys see this with Polinick and Cook? Did you guys know what that was about?
Oh no, this is talking about Harris Chain.
Yeah.
Polnick got cut off at Harris Chain by a pleasure boater, like a pleasure fisherman on live. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
I did see that.
Yeah, the BP Cook thing was where BP was fishing. Cook came running by relatively close to him on pad, and he just kind of got mad at him for running relatively close.
Which just happens, right?
That was the first curse word I think I've ever heard out of BP's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, somebody's commenting Denny Brower. Yeah, good God. I would. Yeah, no thanks. I'm already like envisioning Hackney's like his like eyeball, like his face thing. Yeah. That's scary as hell.
The imitations of guys like just kill me, man. Like,
dude, you remember that
freak from there to there? This is all mine. You
Tommy
can have
Biffle?
everything out of it. Like, this here's mine. Yeah, like that's a Biffle, dude. Like,
that's amazing.
Oh, dude, I used to love the old ESPN because they would have Mercer's like hot takes first thing in the morning and be like, mimic this guy, and I would just die.
Dude, there were some really good ones.
They need to bring that back because you're right at the launch ramp. That was fantastic.
Dude, he had like Cliff Crochet do Shin Fukai, and I lost it. Like I was crying, like a Louisiana guy trying to talk like Shin Fukai. Like it was perfect. There's so many good ones, dude.
Tim said when the elites used to have co-anglers, Hackney was screaming at his co.
Dude, that's
scared from 100 yards away.
Here's the deal. Like that's man, I think I'm not a super confrontational guy. Like, don't get me wrong. Like in sports, it would be different, but I'm just not a super confrontational guy unless there's an actual situation and then kind of turns on. But like I've had a lot of situations here lately where a co-angler has absolutely been cutting me off with Cass, and like I'm gonna snap, man. I'm gonna turn around and be like, "What? You can pay for this? Like you can pay a pro entry and be here and pay all this money, but like it just some of those. Oh man." Anyway,
so what you're saying is we need to get you one of those 360 GoPros for when you do snap, it goes viral.
It'll be snapping. It'll be really snapping.
Deacon's gonna go his brother on everyone. He's gonna do
that's right.
He's gonna go full Nelson mode.
And that's what's funny is like Ryan. So my brother just won an NCAA title in wrestling, and he is the most calm. Yeah, which is just incredible. Like same way, very non-confrontational off of the wrestling mat, and is just a assassin, right, when it comes to wrestling. But just like
heated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you just turn around to the guy, like, do you know who my brother is?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, he'll break you like a twig.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's like you just turn around, snap your rod over your leg, be like, do you know who my brother is? He'll do this to you. See my rod? That'll be you after. Oh God. Dude, I don't like, not to go down a whole rabbit hole because we could be here for another 2 hours, but dude, that blows my mind. I mean, I'm hoping it's just like a lack of education on it as a co-angler, but like just the straight up disrespect to do that is.
And I haven't had that until the Toyota Series level. Seriously, which is interesting because like you'd think as it got higher would get better, but like I think those guys because they have the money on the line. I don't know. And what the worst part is like some of these guys like they have boats and they fish BFLs and they fish other tournaments, and it's like I don't know where some of that comes from because you can catch plenty. Like I'm not going to be casting in front of my guy this week fishing in Texoma. Like I'm going to be fishing my own stuff behind. Like there's no need for that. But that I don't know. I had a conversation with the guy who drew my guy the next day, and it was interesting. After, is a pretty big name pro, and we were just talking, and he's like, "That guy was horrible," and I'm like, "Yep, had him yesterday. Know exactly what I went down." Like,
wow. Good God,
yikes!
I couldn't
imagine. Put him in his place.
Yeah,
it just shows you what those guys are really there for, right? I mean, it's if you're there to learn, man, as a co-angler, you're there for the wrong reason. Like Chris Johnson, dude, and I drew him in the open. I mean, I was 90% tempted to not bring a damn rod.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what, Chris Johnson, I'm pretty much almost locked in for a check, which was the last check possible because my day 2 draw, but we'll leave it at that. Either way, like, you're there to learn. But long story short, that's basically what we're trying to get at. This episode completely took a whole 180 turn to a whole different segment.
Yeah.
I love it. That's what I love about this show is you might start the show with one idea of what you're going to talk about and end on a complete 180. Exactly. It's amazing. Yeah. But boys, do we have anything else for the folks before we tune out tonight?
Next Monday's show, guys, is awesome. Just recorded it yesterday. It's with Jake Byram of Dynamic Sponsorships. They're behind some of the mega brands that have made bass fishing, and some of these non-endemics and endemics in the industry. What makes the Elite Series, to be honest, to match with this. So tune into that. Cool to see someone who went from college fishing to where his career is and all of his fishing. And it's what Business from the Bass Boat is about. That'll be next Monday on someone who's kind of making it happen in the industry.
I'm really looking forward to that show because I've been following their page and I've heard different things about them in the industry. So I'm pretty intrigued to learn more about what's all going down with that deal because you hear a lot of guys talk about it. It's pretty high praised. So I'm intrigued, looking forward to that show. And then Tuesday night for Tuesday Night Live, we're getting on Tyler Berger from Bass Fishing HQ. Which if you folks you don't know yet is one, if you like to learn, like if you come to a serious angler to learn about bass fishing, make sure you check out Bass Fishing HQ because the dude is an absolute wizard. He's got a really good YouTube channel. Head over, check it out. We're going to have him on Tuesday Night Live. And we're figuring out Thursday night show for next week, but we'll obviously let you guys know if you're not already. Follow us on social media. That way you can stay in touch of what shows are coming up. And if you guys are listening to this right now on MP3, please leave us a rating and review on your app of choice. And as always, folks, appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys on Monday.